Hi, in this video, I will introduce the basics of Python, and I hope that through the following practices, you will get familiar with Python, and then we will do descriptive analytics based on Google mobility data. First, let's launch the Anaconda that you just installed. Once your Anaconda navigator is opened, let's go to the Jupyter notebook and click Launch. The Jupyter notebook is where we create the Python scripts. You can choose a folder where you want to store your Python scripts. And here, I choose Documents because that's more convenient for me. You can choose other folders. Here, I click Documents. And then click New and choose Python 3. This means we're creating a notebook for our Python code. Here, we have the Save button, and then the Add button can be used to add different lines. If you want to delete some lines, you can click the scissor button, delete. And this is the copy, paste, go up and down. And this is the run button. So if you put some codes here, you can click the run. And this is to interrupt, refresh, or restart. And here you can choose different options. So usually the default is code because we want to input Python codes, but we also may use some other options, and I will show you later. And you can also change the title of your Python scripts. By default, it's untitled. So if we want to change the name of this notebook, we can click the untitled, and then here you can change the name. For example, we can change this to Python Basics and click rename or just hit enter. So now the name of the notebook is changed. So now I will introduce some very basic Python data structures to make you familiar with the Python codes. Since we already learned how to do some basic programming using UiPath, I believe you will learn very fast. So the first data structure we will introduce is called list. Here, I want to add a title for our section. And to do that, let's select the drop-down list and select Markdown. Here, let's type into the pound sign, and then space, and type list, and then click Run. So here you see that we have this section title. So this is not code yet, this is just a section title. Okay, now let's create our first Python list. For example, let's create our shopping list. So during this holiday, you may go to the supermarket and purchase some fruits for the family. So let's name the shopping list as just shopping list. And then let's assign values to this shopping list. And to do that, we just need to use this equal sign. And a list is enclosed in a square bracket. So it's like this. Okay, and now we want to provide a list of fruits into this list. For example, if we want to put apple inside, and apple is a string variable, right? So we need to enclose the name apple in a quotation mark, like this. And then we can keep adding different fruits, for example, orange, comma, mango, comma, banana, comma, pineapple. Okay, and then hit Run. Alternatively, you can also do Control Enter. So now we created our first shopping list, the Python list. Not only can we include these string values into a list, we can also include numeric values. For example, let's add another line of code by using the plus button. And let's create a number list. So let's just say number list. equals to, use a square bracket and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and run. So here we created a list that contains all the numeric values. So here, the shopping list and the number list, these are called variables. And you must be very familiar with variables, right? And these variables take the values that we assign to them. So if you want to check whether the variable types of these variables are actually list, you can do that by using this code. Type, and then if we want to check the variable type of shopping list, then do shopping list, and then run. Here you see that since we are assigning a list to this variable shopping list, the variable type of this shopping list is list. Okay, so here we are double checking whether we indeed create a list variable here. Now, you may want to count how many items are in this list. So you can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 items. But we can also use the length function of Python, which is len, representing length, and in parentheses, shopping list, and then run. So here we get the length of this shopping list, which is 5. Similarly, you can check the length of the number list, and it is 6, right? Because we have 6 numbers here. Now, if we want to know what is the first item in a list, for example, the first item in this shopping list is apple. How do we represent that? So very similar to what we did in UiPath, the first item is indexed as 0, right? So the first item in this shopping list will be represented as shopping list, and then here we need to use a square bracket 0 and run. So now we know the first item in this shopping list is apple. Okay, now how about the third item? Then that should be shopping list square bracket 2, right? Then the third item is mango. How about the last item? The last item is indexed as -1, so it will be shopping list square bracket -1, and that's pineapple. The second to last item is -2, so here our second to last item is banana, right? And let's check whether we can capture that using -2. And here it is. And what if we want to obtain a sublist of this list? For example, we want to get all the items after the second one, from orange all the way to the last item. And here we can represent that by using shopping list in square bracket, and then the starting point is the second item, which is indexed as 1, and use a colon. And then we can see that we capture all the items after since the second item. Now, what if we want to obtain the items from orange to banana? So orange, mango, banana. And here we can use shopping list 1 to -1. So the first number represents where we start, right? So we start from the second item, and the number after the column is where should we stop. So we stop at the last item, which means the items before the last item will be contained in the list. So if we run this, we can get orange, mango, and banana. If we want to check whether an item is in a list, we can use the following code. For example, if we want to check whether orange is in our shopping list, we can simply type orange in shopping list and then run. And we will get a Boolean value of true or false. So here, true means that this item is in the shopping list. But let's try another one. For example, pear in shopping list. In this case, it's false because we didn't include pear in the shopping list. Now, what if we want to create a loop to iterate through each item in the list? And this is very similar to the for each row loop in UiPath. So the code for Python is for each in shopping list, and then colon, and hit enter, print, space, in parentheses, each, and then run. So here we obtain each item in this list. In the for statement of Python, you can use any name to represent each. For example, I can use for I in shopping list, colon, enter, print, I. So they achieve the same objective. In other words, you can use any name to represent the each, because here each is like a variable created by Python, and that can store each value in this shopping list. Next, what if we want to add an item to the list? Here, we are going to use the append function. For example, we want to add plum in this list. And what we can do is shopping list dot append, and then in parentheses, plum. And if we want to check whether we actually added plum in the shopping list, we can directly print out the shopping list. Hit enter, and now we see we added plum. Now we want to sort the items in the shopping list by their starting alphabet. And to do that, we can use the sort function. So we will do shopping list dot sort, and then in parentheses. And let's see if we sorted it. So here, compared to the original list, our new list is sorted by their starting alphabet. And here we are assorting by the ascending order. What if we want to do the reverse order? To do that, we can use shopping list dot sort, and reverse equals true. So this is saying that we are doing the sorting, but we want the order to be reversed, which means descending. Okay. So now hit run, and then let's check whether the list is reversely sorted. And we did it here. So now the items in the shopping list are reversely sorted in a descending way by their starting alphabets. Now, what if we want to delete an item in a list? To do that, we can use the delete function. For example, we want to delete orange from our list. So here we can use the delete, which is represented by del, and then shopping list. We are deleting the third one, right? So it's going to be indexed as 2. Now let's check whether orange is deleted from our shopping list. And here we go, there's no orange. Now we completed the practice for the list data structure in Python. And the list data structure is the most basic in Python, and you will use a lot of them if you do Python coding. Next, I will introduce dictionary. So here, let's create a section named dictionary. So similar to what we did before, let's change the format of the new line into Markdown. And then let's use a pound sign, space, dictionary. In a dictionary, we have key value pairs. For example, if we want to create an address book, then the keys are the names of the persons, and the values will be their addresses. And here, let's create an address book of emails. So let's type the following codes. Address book equals, and use a square bracket. And now we want to create a dictionary that contains 4 persons' emails. So the first person, let's say Abby, and then use a colon followed by my email address. So that will be, for example, abby@rutgers.edu. Now, this is the first person. Let's use a comma so that we can add the next person's email. Here, you can continue typing, for example, Bob, and his email. For example, bob@gmail.com. However, sometimes it's not easy to view when you put all the codes in the same line, so you can separate the two persons and use a enter key so that they can be in different paragraphs. This is just for our visualization. And let's keep adding another person, for example, Cindy at 123.com. And keep adding Dave at gmail.com. Now we can run. And now we just created an address book with the person's name and the corresponding email address. So now if we want to extract Bob's email, what we can do is to say address book and then use the index as Bob and run. Now we can get Bob's email. Here, we can also use a string concatenation to make this more interesting. For example, we can print out a sentence saying that someone's email is this. We can do print in parentheses and then Abby's email address is, and then use a plus sign for concatenation, address book, and indexed as Abby. And then run. Now we see the sentence, Abby's email address is this. Now, if we want to loop through the dictionary, we can use the following codes. For name, comma, address, in, address book, dot items, in parentheses, and then colon, to another line, print, contact, name, at, address. So here we loop through each entry in this address book, and then we create this very short phrase of contacting someone at their email address. So this kind of for loop contains two variables, name and address, and you can also use other names for these variables. So whenever you use two variables in this loop for the dictionary, the first one will always represent the key value. Here, these are the names of the persons. The second variable will always represent the values for the corresponding key. So here in this case, they are the email address. In the print section, it's essentially a string concatenation. So here you can also use a plus sign. It's the same. For example, we can change this to... So this achieves the same goal as without the plus sign. Okay, so they are the same. So that's a dictionary. Now the third data structure I want to introduce is called a set. So let's create another section title, use the markdown, and pound space, and use set. Set and list, they are very similar. However, in a set, you can only have unique values. For example, now let's first create a list. So let's say this is a fruit list. And let's put different fruits here. Apple, orange, banana. And so in a list, we can repeat items. So let's repeat apple again, repeat banana again, and plum, pear, and let's repeat orange again. Okay, and now run. So here we create a fruit list that contains different fruits with repetitive values. Now, a set is basically a list with all the unique values. So here we can create a set. Let's name it as unique fruits equals set in parentheses fruit list. Here, we are basically using the set function to extract the unique values in the fruit list, and we assign these values to the variable unique fruits. So let's run this. And now let's print out the unique fruits. Now you see that in the square bracket, which is for the set, we have these unique values extracted from the fruit list. So that's what set is used for, right? We use the set to extract unique values from a list. Now, if you want to remove one item from the set, we can use this remove function. Remove, let's say we want to remove apple. And now let's see if we did that. Okay, now the apple is gone. So now you may ask, do I need to remember all these codes? So the answer here is that whenever you do Python coding or other types of coding, you consult Google, right? For example, you can search delete items from a list, Python. And then you can get all the answers from these forums, especially from the Stack Overflow. Most of the time, you can get accurate answers to your coding issues. You do not need to remember all the coding grammar. You just need to understand what does the code mean. And whenever you are not sure how to approach to a problem, you can consult Google. That's actually how programmers do their work. There are actually more things you need to know for the Python basics. However, I will stop here because this is just for you to get familiar with Python, and then we will do some other practice in the next video.